what's your prognosis for simply getting beyond this, as I say, zero-sum mentality?
Yeah, first of all, I would say I think one can exaggerate how difficult relations are now. Yes, there is a lot of rhetoric, and there are a number of political issues that we disagree on, or that our governments disagree on. It is not a return to the Cold War. The basic ideological incompatibility of the Soviet system and communism with everything we stood for is just simply not there. Yeah. And although Russia has become ruled under President Putin in a much more autocratic fashion, at the same time, the Russian economy has improved greatly, and we have to recognize that most Russians approve of what has happened. Now, they may not approve of every single policy followed, but on the whole, Putin is still very popular. And he could have easily gotten a third term if he had chosen to, and he could have easily gotten the Constitution amended for a third term. He decided not to do that, and I think because he said Russia needs stability. And that's one thing that, you know, although we don't like some of the things he has done, he has brought the Russians a feeling that they have a predictable future, that life is getting better, and they are respected in the world again. One of the big problems of the 90s is that most of the world treated them as if they didn't count anymore and that they were a defeated power. And as I said, inasmuch as we negotiated the end of the Cold War to be in the interest of both countries, to treat them that way was extremely, I would say, counterproductive, to use the bureaucratic term. And so I think we have to recognize that Putin is popular, and after all, it's their country. As so far, they have not threatened any other country, and even the tensions they have with their neighbors are, on the whole, no greater than we traditionally have had from time to time in our own hemisphere. Nor has their intervention gone beyond what we would do when we consider our backyard. In fact, often I think that their treatment of you might say, the ex-Soviet republics is modeled very much on what they have seen as traditional American policy in our hemisphere. Now, I'm not trying either to defend that policy or necessarily condemn it. I'm simply saying that those who say what Russia is doing is either unexpected or bad might look at some of the examples they have had on which they perhaps have modeled their current policy. Having said all of that, the fact remains is that on the most important security issues that face us, on the most important economic issues that face us, we will not be able to solve these problems without cooperation with Russia and with other countries as well. And for us to treat the Russians as if we are their nannies, as if we should define what sort of government they should have, when they're really not, you know, aggressively threatening anybody else in any military sense, I think undermines our ability to do the things we need to do in our own interest. The most important of those, in my opinion, and the most immediate, is to continue the process of reducing nuclear weapons, lower and lower. Russia and the United States still have 95% of the world's nuclear weapons. If any substantial number of these weapons are ever used, they can make this planet uninhabitable. If there ever is, you know, an existential issue, and that word is often exaggerated in things that are not existential, nuclear weapons are. And as I think most people who have studied it seriously will say, the mere presence of them is the problem. Now, we can't just walk away from the arsenals we have, but there are many things we need to do. Most Americans do not realize that the United States and Russia still have thousands of weapons each on alert. Why? There are no targets. And anybody who has tried to deal with this issue will tell you there is no rational way you can use them. The only reason we had them before was to keep from being attacked with them, saying, well, we needed that to deter an attack. And of course, the vision that President Reagan and President Gorbachev, the thing that united them more than anything else, was an effort to get the world on a track to first controlling, reducing, and eventually eliminating nuclear weapons. Now, we worry about proliferation, as we should, but we're not going to be able to deal with that until we carry out our obligation, and Russia carries out theirs, in the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is to move our arsenals down towards zero. The bargain was other countries would not build theirs if we reduced ours and provided assistance to develop nuclear power. And we've stopped that motion. And we've got to get back to it.